Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me from the Fateless team, going to be Dirk and Sham, and then our special guest is going to be Bran the Broke, running a YouTube channel with the same name, Bran the Broke. So go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody. Good to have you, man.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah, so brand new content creator, trying my hand at it. I've had experience with board games and such before, and that's kind of the angle that I'm wanting to take with it as a board game designer to kind of dig deep into the driving mechanics behind games, specifically Godforge. And that's really it, I guess. I don't know. I, I don't like talking
Dude,
about myself, so
that's great. You'll have a great connection with Sham and Dirk. They're right up your alley, I think.
woo.
I was gonna say so we asked right before we started this, but like so what brought you to the brand the broke? Like why throw that in? It was like yeah, actually why?
So it actually funny enough. So I'm a certified audio engineer as well, and so a while ago I was like, oh, I want to make music. Well, what would my name be? And obviously at the time, Game of Thrones was massive, and so I was like, Brand the because his name's Brandon, my name's Brandon. And I was like, Brand the Broken, Brand the Broke. That's gonna be my rapper name. I can't rap, but that's my rapper name, and so I actually started the channel as Humble Raven Gaming, which was more just chill. And then I was like, I need to rebrand myself. So Brand the Brook, I was like, you know what? I'll use it on this. I'm not gonna rap ever, so I'll use
So
it
put
for
up your
Say,
YouTube.
let's hear like a
yeah, no.
Godforge freestyle. Let's hear like a
Oh,
Godforge freestyle.
no, 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 no.
I was just wondering what your name on to ask because are you familiar with the I guess mythological character Bran the Blessed?
I don't think I am, to be honest.
Mm.
No.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure if that was where
That's a
your
good shout
your
out,
name was
Dirk,
coming
for
from.
for reasons that we can or cannot say.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
no.
No reason, but
I
Dirk
didn't even
was
have to
mentioning
do anything, and you gave that one.
that. Listen, I mean, if you come on here and your name is Brand the Broke, I guess we have to like. I mean, I guess I'll ask you.
Oh,
Looks
no.
like you might be frozen. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I froze. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I was gonna ask you. Can you say your name 5 times fast?
Brand the Broke, Brand the Broke, Brand the Broke, Brand the Broke, Brand the Broke. Is that
Okay,
5?
that's pretty
Was that
good. That's
5?
pretty good.
Okay.
That's
Nine
pretty
out
good.
of 10, nine out
I
of
was
10,
trying to
pretty good.
spit it out.
Let's try.
I was trying to spit it out, and I was like, "Huh, I feel like this might be a tongue twister."
Now, if he
So,
was Australian and it was like Bran the Bloke, I feel like that would be a lot harder.
ooh,
Oh, that's another good one. I didn't even think about that. Brand
you
the
can't be
Broke.
Brand the Bloke though, unless you're a true
You gotta be
bloke.
true
I mean,
Yeah,
Aussie.
no.
yeah.
I'm not
But
bloke.
hang on. So your angle, your angle is. I'm really interested in this. Is coming into it from the perspective of you are a designer, like tell a board game designer. Like tell me more about that.
Yeah, so yes, I am a traditionally published one time, self-published multiple times board game and TTRPG designer. I don't do it full time or anything. I actually haven't done it in about a year. But that's just because life got in the way. But yeah, so about 3 years ago, I started a job, found myself doing the work way faster than anybody else and had a lot of downtime. And so I was like, I want to pick up a hobby. I was like, I want to play board games. I don't have money, so I'm just going to make my own board game for free. And so as I do with everything, because I like to have so many different hobbies and interests, and they change weekly. Just about, I dove deep into it, like deep, 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 and found myself just really interested in it and actually invested myself for months on it, which had never happened with anything else before. And so, uh, I eventually my wife allowed me, she went with me, but allowed me to go to a board game design conference,
Okay.
Proto ATL. Don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's in
I haven't
Atlanta,
been. I'm
Georgia.
familiar. I haven't been though.
Okay, it's wonderful for designers. It's mainly just for designers, and they have different conferences and everything like that, but it's really small and intimate. And so I actually ended up meeting a guy there by the name of Kyle, and he brought his game, which was it's actually about to go to Kickstarter, but it's this massive open world D&D inspired deck building game. Uh,
Mm. Open
tons of
world D&D inspired deck building game. All right,
narrative.
you've piqued my interest. That sounds cool.
Yes, yes, it's fantastic. So it's I don't know if I'm allowed to throw the name out or anything because I don't want it to be like advertising or whatnot. But
no, advertise away, man. Look, this
okay,
is what,
cool.
like, yeah.
Okay, it's Echoes of the Sundering is what it's called. And he actually recently had to push back the Kickstarter date for it because of tariffs and stuff, which
Oh
I
God,
won't
yeah.
I won't get
I was
political.
gonna say that's dude. Shipping, international shipping was a nightmare before.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as you know, it sounds
Oh,
like
yeah.
you've done it. It is. Oh my God, I can't even imagine for people that are trying to deal with tariffs
Yeah.
now. Like that's
There-
just like
Every time I open Facebook, there's a new company saying, "Oh, we can no longer do business. Like we're done." Like they literally are closing their doors and stuff. It's crazy. Sorry, it's a small side tangent, but there's no way for the board game industry to come back because we do not have the infrastructure to support that sort of manufacturing.
none
And
in
the
the
only
U.S.
way
at
to-
all.
None.
We tried to manufacture in the U.S.
Mhm.
I tried so desperately. I was like, I'm gonna go to this group. I'm gonna go to that group, and it
Mhm.
was like, okay, I could pay 4 times the price.
Yep.
For worse quality.
Oh yeah.
Or I can go and do it for, one of these other groups.
Mhm.
And it was just like,
And that's if they can do it too, because
yeah.
there's some machines that we just don't have, like all
Mhm.
the minis and stuff like that. We really don't have that in the US. And even if we wanted to get invested in that, we have to ship the machines over from China. So like,
Yeah, we were just I was, I've been doing some research on this just because I want to understand the global politics and uh, implications of what's happening here. And it's like if you look at how long it's actually going to take us to build up the infrastructure to kind of to do, this is one tiny little micro example, right?
Oh, yes.
Of this, but all the different things that we may be cutting ourselves off from if things continue this way, it's like 10 to 12 years, probably a decent guess, like for how long it would take for us to build these things up, assuming we keep, our relationships with partners that are kind of close to us. So 10 to 12 years. Oh yeah, I'll just hang on as a board game publisher
yeah.
or whatever group or designer. I'm gonna keep my company's gonna hang on by that thread for 10 years. Like, do this,
Mhm.
it's over. Like,
There's no way. No way.
I was gonna say, actually, it's probably some irony there. You said you started doing board games because you had no money. You're like, well, I'll make my own. You probably found out it's not as free as you hoped it would be there.
Nope. Not I've spent
So
more
then,
money on my games than other games.
so you said you had one traditionally published and then several self-published.
Mhm.
Did you raise off like Kickstarter, or how did you, I guess, get the funds to publish on that thing?
So
Toys broke now.
yeah, I'm always broke. You don't make money as a board game designer, I will say that. Publishers, board game designers, no. There are very few actually like full-time published or game designers, which I think is sad. But
Disappointing. Yeah.
it's so sad. But yeah, so I have one traditionally published, which was with Kyle, ended up being the Wilderforge. They published it. It was his first time publishing anything, leading up to his publishing coming this Kickstarter. But other than that, I've kickstarted one TTRPG, which was called Paralacrum. It got like $300 on Kickstarter. I wasn't looking for, nothing game breaking or whatnot. And so and I have several more that are like in the pipeline. It's just, I've put it off since then. But most of my stuff I've actually put out on the Game Crafter. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but love the Game Crafter, love those guys. So I put them on there. I used mainly assets from like there's different creator asset packs or whatnot of different borders and stuff like that. Canva was amazing. And so I kind of just had to learn those skills, graphic design and stuff like that, threw it all together, which uh I'll actually get in with Tic Tac Slash in a second because it still blows my mind to this day how I did that because I don't even know. But
That's what you mean.
so I threw it up there and stuff like that. I mean, it's not like, bringing in massive bucks, but recently had the Game Crafter sent a copy of one of my games, probably my favorite game that I've made thus far, called Questbound, to him. It's like a resource management dungeon diver type deal. And he actually really enjoyed it, and I actually sold several copies because of him. And I had nothing to do with it. All of a sudden, I started selling copies, and I was like, what is happening? Like, what is going on?" And I just Googled Questbound, and up popped the video, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's that's what content creators are for.
Yeah, well, that organic. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing that was always so interesting to me is like how the, because I mean that's one of the big things for Fateless is kind of like we have this kind of inbuilt community that's taken a long time to kind of build up. And that's one of the hardest things I think as like someone who's going to build a board game. You're like, oh man, I've got this badass. By the way, this is the board game. I figured I'd bring one out here. Yeah, no plug. You can't buy it anymore. By the way, it's
You can't? I thought you could.
no
on the
no
website?
man. I mean it's well, so behind here. Let's see. Yeah, behind me.
This is a remaining
Are
inventory.
all the copies that are left that could possibly be and I basically have turned it so no one can buy it, because I'm just like, I kind of like this wall back here.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good.
Yeah,
kinda
you're
like-
supposed to send me one of those a while ago, but I still haven't.
Well, you can't see it, but there's one right there with your name on it. Literally, yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
You can see how I mean I've just got so much free time. It's so easy to do like everything, but no, but yeah, the hardest part is like finding like a community. And so what's so cool and so fun about it is like when you do, you stumble into like, oh, this community is gonna love my game, and maybe it's a content creator, or maybe it's you're in a Discord group or whatever it is, Facebook, however you get it. That's like the coolest moment was when you get to share kind of your creation. But as you mentioned,
yes.
like unless you're doing it with like a well-known IP like a Monopoly, or you're doing it with something where it just happens to like really hit, it's tough to make a lot of money, I think, on these, especially like, so that's one of the questions I was going to ask is like, when you're doing the art, so you're using kind of like freely available or kind of freely available stuff. Did you ever try to get together? I don't know if you're an artist, but did you ever try to get together with an artist?
Absolutely, I've tried. But I also don't like to not pay people what they're worth and stuff. So it's very hard. Thankfully with Tic Tac Slash, yes, there's with Tic Tac Slash, just a brief explanation. It's a 18 card game that just reimagines the way you play tic tac toe. That's it. It just uses the cards. They make like a grid. There is very tactical movement. It's interesting. It's not just like 3x3 or whatnot. There's no confinement to it. So and it leads to some interesting ways to play and stuff. So but we made 4 different versions of it. So I made the ninja version, which was used with assets on Canva and stuff like that. And I made it the whole game from concept to prototype design, which ended up being like 80% done for the actual final version of it. I made that all in 2 days, which still blows my mind. Like, I was like, I have this idea, I want to do it, and I just slammed it out. And obviously, it's only an 18 card game, so like, it's nothing crazy. But we ended up working with Kyle with his artist for 3 other versions. So there's a fantasy version, sci-fi version, and a steampunk version as well. And then we also made like little different side variations of the game and stuff like that, which you can play with the little chibi characters is what's on all of them and stuff. It's kind of cute, kind of cool. And it was actually kind of a plug too for his game, because the fantasy version was based off of the 5 races that you can play as in his game. So, or species, whatever they're called. I know D&D changed that. I don't remember if he changed it or not.
I forget what they're called now. But
Yeah.
So the ninja is yours, because I saw the website and you get to pick on the website, and I immediately went to ninja. So I was going to ask which one is your favorite, but it sounds like you're also a man of culture.
Yes.
But so tell me now. So we've heard a decent amount about the board game angle. Like, tell me more about like your connection, I guess, to Godforge or to squad RPGs, or like how'd you find this? How'd you find us and Godforge and that type of stuff?
I like I'm sure a lot of people did, Hellhades, playing Raid. I played Raid casually for years and watched it around. I'm one of those. I'm like you guys, and I hear you guys talking on the podcast. You're talking about the newest game that you guys are trying out just to see what it's like. That's me. Literally, there's not a single game on the App Store I haven't played. Probably like not even joking. I try everything I possibly can, and some of them click, some of them don't. But I don't stick around with them too often for very long, most of the time. But Godforge, I have been excited for since pretty much day one. As soon as beta signups were up, I signed up like literally 10 minutes later. and followed it as soon as I found out about it, so on and so forth. And it's kind of shown that like th- there's a huge difference, and I know I'm going back to the board games, but I'm gonna tie it into the video games in a second. So we're talking about like Fateless is community driven. That is not the norm for video games. That is the norm for board games, though, because that's about the only way you can drive marketing without just paying money to marketing services and stuff like that. You have to be open from beginning to end. You can't just say, "Oh, here's a finished product. This is what you want." You can, and bigger IPs and stuff do that, but for indie developers, as Fateless is, you have to have that homegrown grass, whatever it's called. Yeah, grassroots, thank you. I was like, "What? Grass weeds? That's not right."
Grass
Grassroots.
weeds, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Grassroots, marketing, because that's super important to creating that community and stuff, to have them come back to buy your next board game and so on and so forth. And I just thought that was a wonderful way to take it, with Fateless. And, um Fateless actually came around the same time I picked up board games, and so it was kinda just like, "Okay, they're doing it, I can do it," helping me, like,
Yeah, let's go.
pursue that and stuff, and I've watched every podcast, almost every video. There's some I skip, but, not anymore, not that I've done the CC, and so, it's just been really interesting to see that. And so, because I've also tried my hands at making board game or video games, because
Mm.
I'm actually in school right now for cybersecurity, and I'm having to program and stuff like that, in which I've programmed before, and I've tried to make text-based games and design my own design documents. I've done some game jams, just a bunch of different stuff, and so I like to wear a lot of hats. And so, yeah, I don't know. I've always loved video games, more recently board games, obviously, and because I didn't play anything other than Dominion and Catan before I started designing board games, and then it just kind of, like, blew up from
I was
there.
gonna say that's
So
quite a, you know, that that's like eating, like,
It's
only
like not, it's
popcorn.
not part cheesy, right?
Yeah, it's not part cheesy.
You're pretty advanced there. So
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like board games nowadays in the current marketplace can still be very successful, but almost as like a collectible secondary type thing. Like, I think it's really hard to build one from scratch with no like following. But I see things like, I play Valheim. Valheim, when they release a board game, instantly sells out, makes millions of dollars. People love it. They're like, "Oh, I gotta buy that." But they did it in the other direction. They built the game first, got a following, then they did a board game. I think if they just released a Valheim board game 5 years ago, it probably wouldn't have sold super well. Am I correct there or wrong?
I
Yeah,
largely.
absolutely correct, yeah. I mean, you can look at Slay the Spire as well, video game to board game, but it was a board game designed as a video game. Like,
Right. Yeah.
but doing that route is different, but you're right, like, it's much easier, especially with, I mean, that's also from having an open market compared to, like, Kickstarter and stuff, 'cause Kickstarter, you have to bring your own audience, to it, whereas with, like, these, like, itch.io and, app stores and stuff like that, you actually put it out there to, people, and it's there for them to see, and you do pay to do that, but it's
what you're kind of saying, is that, like, it's a mature market, meaning that distribution is really hard, right? So if you look
Uh-huh.
at what you're perceiving, right, is that there's content innovation, distribution innovation, and there's like what platform innovation in a sense, right? So the distribution, the content is, you're excited about the IP, you're excited about the Slay the Spire, you're excited about the Valheim, you're excited about the whatever. The distribution innovation is that, well, they already have those, that the distribution innovation is already there, as in they have a player base. Players already play these games, and so they like this. Well, yeah, it makes natural sense to play a Slay the Spire as a physical game, because it basically is like a card game, right? That
Yeah.
I don't know how well it's going to work, just because there's so many interactions that might get kind of like sweaty. I'm not sure. It could be a cool game, but yeah, I mean, what you're kind of identifying is that yeah, it's just a really mature market. Like, so discovery is so hard. Like, you go to Target, even if you just go to like a Target, there's still going to be 500 games. You still have to figure out what game I'm gonna pick. You go to a board game store, dear Lord, like like how are you gonna find what game to play? You're asking the guy, you're like, dude, what should I play? He's like, oh, what are you into? Well, I'm into this one, like thing. Oh, well, there's still 15 different versions or types of versions of that type of game. So like,
Mhm.
it's and this, by the way, is true in video games in a
Mhm.
sense, right? Also the
Absolutely.
same thing when you said like the App Store. You go to the App Store, there's so many different versions of each type of game. So it's like, well, how do I get my game to an audience? And what you're saying is that, and which I think is true, is you kind of have to have already built up a decent
It's
audience.
because you
to do
need
those
the
things.
digital medium as opposed to the physical medium. It's harder to advertise on the physical medium because, like, digitally, I'll hear about new games because I get a notification on Steam or I get a notification on my phone or an email. But when it's a physical thing, it's a little bit harder to kind of push that.
Right.
The thing,
And,
Brad,
you go ahead.
I was gonna say, it is very much a collector's thing too, like you were saying. Like
Mm,
it's
physical.
niche, and it's first of all, some people have to actually like get a crew together to play a lot of these games, which is something that they usually have to have beforehand. No one's just like picking up a board game and then making friends like, hey guys, I got this speed game you want to try
Oh,
out.
I used to go to the board game shops all the time,
Yeah,
Derek.
no, but everyone has their own board game then. So then it's like,
Yeah,
well,
true, true, true.
yeah, who's are we playing? So it's very much a collector's thing. And then yeah, it's you have to obviously physically ship them versus like just putting them on an app
Mhm.
store. But I do think there is potential advantage there, especially with that- I know like app stores and even like Steam and whatnot, they're getting like flooded now with a lot
Yeah.
of indie games and a
Tens of
lot of this
thousands of
AI
games.
slot too.
Oh, yeah.
And board games, I think, won't have that issue. Like they've both kind of obviously full of indie games. There's a million indie board games that you've never heard about, a million
Oh,
indie
yeah.
video games you've never heard about. But I think it's actually like the pace you could put out a video game now is, I think, much quicker almost than a board game in a lot of ways. So I do think there'll be less saturation in the board game market, especially
I don't
as
know though. I'm a
digital
little nervous
processes.
about this. So imagine someone puts together a tool called boardgamebuilder.ai, right? And all it does is it goes like, all right, we're gonna put a prompt in. Prompt, here's the big,
Yeah, no, but you could do that, but then you got to still like supply chain that to
yeah,
like
yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
exactly. Well, 100%. But then you ask the AI, who should I talk to? Well, you should talk to, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like maybe AI is gonna. Please don't. If someone out there is watching and they're thinking they should don't do this. Like, this is gonna.
But hey, so there may be like I don't know, like a renaissance. Maybe it's just wishful thinking or
It would
something. But
be, yeah, physical. I agree with that actually. I think that people want to. I think people want to be around each other. Like, I think that's something that we kind of miss, and that's why I
especially
think why
working
board
from
games are
home.
so.
Yeah, Brand, you said you're a student now, but I don't know, like you've done like you said like game jams and all that, like you development work. Do you work from home or like is it? I think a lot people are now.
Yeah, no, I actually don't work right now. My wife is supporting us, so I'm just a stay-at-home dad,
Okay,
taking
okay.
care of our 2 kids and doing student stuff. I'm
I
taking
heard you're a content creator. Come on,
uh
don't. You're a content
Yeah, I am
creator.
content
You're a game
creation now.
designer.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
and your board games and all this is done like from home, and that's what
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
this work is from home, and it makes me feel like, especially if my wife and kid have been gone the last like 3 weeks now, kind of like, man, if I knew they weren't coming back soon and this was my life right now, I would have to seriously rethink some things like socially.
Oh, I understand that. The only reason why I, like, get up and get myself dressed and stuff is because of our children. It's like, if I didn't speaking of that, I
Walking
had
around
to
naked.
I mean, yeah, I had to find a trick to, like, wake up, cause like, I'll wake up but not wake up for a couple hours. So I was like, "I need
You.
something to just wake up." That's not coffee. I drink coffee, but it doesn't help. If you put your shoes on, it
Yeah.
tricks your mind into thinking, "Oh, I'm about to go do something. I'm about to go outside. I'm gonna go
I
do an
haven't heard that one
errand."
before. That's
And
that's interesting.
it tricks your mind into actually, like, starting. And I do that every day now. It's, like, life-changing. Just sorry,
Huh.
a little tidbit, but,
Just go out for like a quick walk or something around the block just to like.
no,
Life
not
hacks
even.
from
Yeah,
Bran.
just put them on and it's like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna go walk," but you just walk to your computer now, and you're good. Like
And then your mind is like, hang on, what is this BS? I thought we
Yeah,
were
no, I
going for a
definitely
walk. And you're like,
understand
nah,
because
man, we gotta get to
it's
work.
not the same when you're just throwing on like sweatpants and
No.
like, all right, let's get rolling today. Get to the
I
grind.
mean, I wear sweatpants out, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, no, working from home, like, or doing this stuff, doing content creation, which is, like I said, not random, is a new thing. Sorry, brand new thing, that I started, and I've always wanted to do it, but, it was kind of, Susie and, Crouching Grandpa, or Yuho,
You
Uho,
yeah.
Yuho, uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they were like, I was like, "Man, you guys are making me wanna do this," like, and I didn't know about content creator programs, like, I had no idea those
Mhm.
existed, and so, and I, like, saw, Susie told me about it and stuff. I was like, "Man, you guys are, like, talking me into this," and they're like, "You say?" I was like, "Should I?" They're like, "Do it," and I was like, "Okay," so I did it, and
Yeah, why not, man? That's
yeah.
awesome. So tell us about what insights you've kind of like you've gleaned so far. Like what's what have you noticed from the perspective that the angle you're coming at it from for Godforge?
Yeah, so, I've had to reevaluate a few times. My, very initial idea was I want to make my own pantheon for Godforge, and I wanna put it out there for people to see. So I started, like, uh, just for fun, just, like, high level concepts, stuff like that. Uh, so I started, um, drafting ideas for a pantheon based on Sherilyn Kenyon's, The Dark Hunter series, which is, like, this series of books. It's fantasy, it's technically adult fantasy, just throwing that out there. Don't read it if you're under 18. But they have a pantheon of Atlantean gods in there that she came up with and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be a cool spin on stuff, cool crossover idea." So I was like, "I'm just gonna do that because obviously Fateless isn't gonna design these characters out. So I can't do like, oh, I'm gonna do some other pantheon that actually exists because you guys might be already fleshing those out, and I didn't want it to, like, crossover and me be wrong and then feel sad." So I was like, "I'm gonna do something you guys won't do," and so I started doing that, then came up with some, debuffs and stuff. And then I was like, that's not really gonna get people to watch. So if I want to actually do content, I need content people are gonna watch. So I kind of reevaluated going towards more of the normal, like looking for secrets and calling things out and just reacting to stuff for now as I evaluate and stuff and as we get closer to the alpha and beta and release and stuff. At that point, hopefully I can actually go into it in a very in-depth perspective on mechanics and design choices and, I mean, flaws that you guys, are
What
gonna
do you
have
mean
because that's in
flaws?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, there's gonna be flaws, nothing's perfect, I promise.
Of course.
And so, but not like from a bad angle, obviously, but from a growth, because you always learn from mistakes, and I know you guys learn from not even mistakes, you guys learn from everything. That's your whole shtick is
Yeah,
you guys are just doing it, and you're looking at it and being
and
like,
doing
"Does
it
this work?
live.
Does this not?" Yeah, I
Criticism,
love
or we
that.
will copyright strike your video.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We're coming after you, man. Are you
Do
kidding
you
me?
like burning questions from your perspective or any criticisms while you've got us here?
so I have one video actually coming out in a couple hours that, is my first negative thing about Godforge.
Mm,
Sorry, guys. Um,
it's all good.
at the time of this recording, obviously, it's not really
Yeah.
negative, but it's just a concern that I have based off of other games that have done it. So, but I do have some questions. I have some interesting ones.
Do we start with the good or the bad? What do you want
The
here?
good, the good.
Oh,
Or
okay.
the bad
The
one, you
good?
guys can respond to on your own. I have a video for that. So, yeah, because I know all of you have a hand in the design actively, correct?
Mm.
That's yeah,
Yes.
cool. Okay. So, anyone who feels the urge to answer this, just let me know. But, so what so far, and I know you guys are still working on this, but what so far has been the hardest system to balance in Godforge so far?
Artists.
Well, I'm gonna say balance wise, right now we're going forward with we want everything to feel super strong
Mhm.
and fun. And then the balance we're gonna work out based on just obviously trying to stamp out anything that's like actually broken, as in like infinite combos, stuff with no counters. But
Some stuff with
the big one will be more so just making counterplay stronger.
Mhm.
We're still, I mean, just a lot of implementation right now, so we haven't had a chance to actually like dive deep into it. The good thing is, Paul's really really strong with simulations. Just on the spreadsheet.
It's a fear.
And
Fear
all
of
of our
Mantis Gaming.
yeah, just for like our demos and whatnot we put out so far, we were able just to kind of like guesstimate about like, oh, how strong should this be? Like, and then
It's mostly working, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's not,
we've hit it
this is not balanced by any means, but
we've hit like where we expected it, or I guess our ideal where we wanted it to be. We've come very close. So I'm thinking our balance. I mean, don't expect perfect balance in a gotcha game. And I think by design, you don't want perfect balance. Obviously, you want those chase heroes. So there won't be great balance there. But we at least have like an idea of where we do want it to be, and we've so far been, like I said, and like we're hitting it like, okay, this is our projection, and we actually tested out. We're like, oh, cool, all right, it feels pretty good. But I think the main one is going to be like ultimates. So I don't know if you've seen our
that's
system.
what I was gonna say. Okay, nice.
We basically worked out, because the big complaint in Raid is the speed system. Speed is king. Obviously, the more speed you have, the more turns you get, the more abilities you're pulling off, and it's just usually just the strongest option. Obviously you still have to speed tune, so there are like caps to your speed that you're going to want to have depending on the content you're doing, but for the most part, more speed's better. In ours, we kind of, the ultimate system, we more so took like the A3 that your hero would have, and then we made that the ultimate, and we took that off the speed system and instead put that on like divinity gains. So it's basically a second speed system. So there's 2 stats for it, and you can use your ultimate, like I say, during any ally's turn. So it's as decoupled from speed as you could possibly get it at the moment. And I think the big balance is going to be just like how often you're getting it, because you want to make sure you're getting it often enough where you feel like you have it.
Powerful and fun,
Like,
yeah.
It can't be, we want to make sure it doesn't get so out of hand that like you're just looping them, like you're just
smashing it basically.
Yeah, like every turn you're just going through a cycle of ultimates. So I think that's like the main balance concern, like the immediate one we're looking into very like closely.
That makes sense. So just as a quick aside about that, because I love that answer, so thank you. So me and a couple of the other content creators have been talking about like, making a Godforge TCG. And so we were talking about like what kind of systems would that look like and stuff. And one of the ones that I was bringing up was the divinity system and having the ultimate and keeping it separated from the speed, like you said. So it's really like I didn't even obviously know that you guys were doing that, but it's kind of cool to see that because like
and now you got your YouTube title. This is what the Godforge devs fear the most.
Yeah.
Got him.
Speed is king.
It was super crucial for us though. It was one of the I mean, we talked about this pretty early on when we were talking through like, okay, how can we make this feel like it's not just the same as kind of what's out there, and how can we make it feel fun and different. And I really do think it's going to end up being, I mean, after having played it in, we don't have all the characters or anything like that, but having played it, like, it's fun. It's fun to you get like, oh, you're done.
It looks fun.
I have the top Odin in the world right now, today.
What? That's crazy. I had a conversation with the #1 player. That's my next title too. There's another one. I'll write these down. Hold on. #1 player.
You got the next like 6 weeks of content.
No, because that's so important too. And like Dirk said, you said balance in even in board games, video games, balance is not balanced. If that makes any sense. Balance is fun, and that is the most important thing. Is fun. You want to keep like you were having fun playing it, and you're designing it. You know everything about it, but you're having fun. That's amazing. Like, and I know you have an attachment to it, but that's beside the point.
But even so, I mean, actually, especially in the video games business, as you scale, you'll find a lot of people that are in the games business, and they don't actually really like the game that they're making. They don't even. That's got to be so hard. I can't even imagine that. I got to test this thing. Let me go. Let me go. Like, can you even imagine that, Dirk? Like having to like do hours and hours and hours of testing, like
you're working on just like a Barbie game or something.
Whatever it is, whatever the thing is that I'm not that, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So it's such a privilege, honestly, for us to be able to be working on a game that we're genuinely passionate about, and is slated to have some commercial success and has a community that's excited about it. Like these are all like, we're in a great position. It feels nice to be there. So, but yeah, as you said, the thing that we're really evaluating against isn't like is this perfectly mathematically balanced? Like, is this going to be a 50-50 matchup between these 2 characters or these 4 characters? Like, no, that we will never achieve that, and we wouldn't want to. We want it to feel like, okay, well, I brought this character, kind of like what Dirk was saying, so you should bring this character because that's a good counter. Well, oh yeah, well I bring, you know what I mean? Like you've got this balance.
Yeah,
that you can
strong
see.
counterplay options, and that's how I prefer balance, because I hate kind of like what esports did to gaming, where balance became such this like hyper focus, like, oh, everything has to have a perfectly even win rate, and then it just felt like for a big stretch of time, like in the 20 teens and even up to now, it's like games built around esports, it's like everything just feels equally weak. And it's not fun as a player. Like Street
Boring.
Fighter 5 was a good example of that, where every single button felt like you're like, and here's my tiny stubby normals because it's balanced. And like everything felt the same. It didn't really matter which character you're picking. And like that's like an extreme example, but I think a lot of games just kind of feel like that, where just everything just weak and like you don't have fun playing it because it's like too balanced in a way. And you
That's
want
why
things to feel cheap, or like you want to do it, oh, look at this, I got out. And like I feel like a lot of games like just lack that these days. But so that's funny enough, the gotcha games I think just don't care as much about balance because there's just so many characters that it actually ends up being fun. And
It's
like
like more fun. That's why we end up playing these games, because we're like, man, I wish it was like that. And then you go and play, and you're like, actually, I got this character, and this is ridiculous. Like,
you feel like you're breaking the game in a way. I mean, as long as you're not actually breaking it,
right?
I think it's like,
and
and
they're
then
all super powerful in their own way. That can be counter done by someone who's super powerful in their own different way.
Well, and you just want to make sure that there's always choice, right? So as soon as there's a, like, you always want to make sure you don't take away choice by making something that's so powerful that you must play with that character.
Yeah, like
that's the other part of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Where it's just like, you don't want like one thing that just stamps out everything, and there's just the only counter to it is just playing it with better stats. So yeah, that's the other, like, I guess when it comes to actual like balancing against each other's, we don't even have like the PvP options built yet. As soon as we do, I'm just gonna be crushing Brad all day. But like
Duel of the Fates.
That's another thing I'm super excited for. So and this is just be a small aside because I know it's not the main topic, but esports. So I actually in college was an esports journalist for Overwatch League. I worked for like several different companies and teams and stuff like that. Even for Smite, I did Smite as well before. Overwatch League. Love Smite. Hi-Rez is like one of my favorite game development companies, period. But so esports has always been a huge thing to me. I don't watch it a whole lot, but I like just studying it, and that's another angle I really want to take for my channel too, is the esports kind of competitive edge to it, not just the theory crafting behind the game, theory crafting behind the players. So that is another angle that I want to take.
I'm indexing it with that.
Yeah, and just like learning what they're like. Everyone's gonna have their own strategy and their understanding of the characters and stuff like that, and that whole counterplay, like you said, like that's gonna be a huge thing. You're gonna have it's just
there's
like
endless content around that, because if you just think about the permutations and combinations of characters and builds and weapons and imprints and whatever that you could make, like what you choose to do and choose to go after is gonna matter, and that's what's fun, right? That's what makes it fun. So then you bring someone on that, they've got the best Odin in the world, for example. Like if someone had that, like that.
Goodness.
That's not gonna be your whole strategy. It's got to be like, well, how did I build it, and what's the team makeup, and what's my strategy for building that team, more faster than other players are able to build their team, stuff like that. So I mean, I think that there's endless fun content. I mean, Brad, you did this for years for Raid. It's fun to do that type of stuff, right? Like in that end of the spectrum, in the esports end of the spectrum, was there a lot of content, I guess, for Raid, for this genre? Like, how did you feel about that end of it, Brad?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about, Raid missed the boat horribly on catering to that. They didn't have the ability, like I would have loved when I was streaming to, I'm going to host a custom tournament. Everybody jump in the stream, and then we have a big bracket. Let's get 100 of us, battling with our different teams. And we couldn't do like show matches. I couldn't be like hey, Simon, let's show up and do Hellhades versus Chosen, best of 7 show match. It'll be awesome views. Like every one of those videos would get 50,000 views. Hellhades versus Chosen, battling it out, 7 different teams, best of 7. Like Raid missed the boat so hard on all that stuff because they had an amazing community that would have been doing that stuff daily. So I've always been pushing internally for us to try to unlock that part of it. That would really kind of take that next step into catering towards that.
Yeah, I'm in that same because I think this genre actually lends itself well to it. It's like kind of what actually hooked me into it was I love playing games like Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone. It's like I love card games, pretty good at them. Like it, I don't know, like brand, but like I wouldn't say good. Like I spend a lot of time like thinking about my decks and like the meta and all that, and because of that, I think I've just found a lot of success just given the effort I put into it. And these games scratch the same itch. You get it's kind of like building a deck when you're putting a team together. You have to take the meta into account and think about all the cool little counter plays you could do that people don't expect. Try to like poke weaknesses in their defense team. And yeah, I'm just surprised that like Raid just like you said missed the boat in that one because I thought, man, for a game that's so big and has such a giant like online community of content creators, how is there no like PvP? I don't know,
just think about the biggest games that are the most successful, and they all have that in common. Like Hearthstone has Hearthstone Arena. Clash of Clans has these big meetups of the top clans attacking each other. Clash Royale has these big events where they get big time content creators to face each other. Like it's a common thread that you would think would permeate its way into this genre, but it hasn't really for some reason.
And you don't want to force it because I think anytime you force esports, it always blows up.
It's always way worse.
In a bad
Well,
way.
speaking of Overwatch League, that would be a separate video, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
I could do a 5-hour talk on Overwatch League.
But it's just providing the tools at least to let it grow organically, and that's like it just didn't exist in Raid. But games like small games like Epic 7, it does, right? Like they have a small esports scene for theirs,
and there's some potential that they kind of back themselves into a corner with the way that they developed the game, and they just didn't see that was going to be like a big opportunity, and so we know that this could be
2020.
Yeah, or they just didn't care. Maybe it's just financially it's not worth the effort. Like the return isn't worth what you're going to put in. But for us, it's like personally, I want to be able to crush Brad every day.
Oh yes.
I think
the trash talk is real here.
And I think
it
it's
is
like
insanely difficult to get a return on esports. It's
Right.
insanely difficult. You almost have to be like League of Legends, like to get a return.
Right. Which I don't even know. Well, I'm sure I don't know if they make money on that. I mean, if you think about like the incidentals, like people playing the game because of what they saw, then sure, of course. But are they making their money back on skins? Probably, actually. Let's be real. It's League.
Yeah, that's
Well, and I think that's like super important. Not super important. Sorry. My brain almost went off track. I caught it. You were talking about like Overwatch League forcing it. I think that's why it's important. I was super excited when you guys were talking about the normalized mode and just PvP, or clan v clan, but like with lobby based systems and stuff, because there is no negative for you guys. If you put it in ahead of time, you don't have to invest in esports. You just have to invest in that system, which is something you wanted anyways. So if it's there, people can use it and run with it.
If people are excited about it, then we'll
let's let the community do it. If it happens, it happens. But as long as we just at least as long as the option is there that the community can make something of it. Yeah.
Am I expecting Fateless to put on the Fateless championships? Not necessarily. Do I think it'd be cool and would I watch it? Absolutely. But I don't expect you guys to build all this infrastructure and stuff around it. And I think the most successful ones are when the community have done it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
there's so many like Smite
Brothers.
and it's just like even the gaming consoles, like PlayStation put them on, like they paid Call of Duty so they could be the official hosting thing or whatever. So it's like Fateless, you don't have to do anything. It's just for everybody else. I mean, Apple could be like, oh, we want to be the official blah 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 whatever device of
calls up Apple. We'll have the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, if the price is right, but no, I think that's super important. That's why I got super excited. I already put a video out on the esports aspect and stuff because that's something that I love, and I love Godforge. If I love esports, might as well put them together. And I think that you guys are at the great spot to actually implement that in a way where you're not Raid 5 years down the line, having to go in and change a bunch of systems and everything like that just to make it work.
Hopefully you coming back, but
So
there it is. You're
hopefully,
back.
hopefully that lends
We're not for a
to
second.
itself. But yeah. Oh no, I was talking this whole time. No,
Yeah, it kind of
what was the last
lagged
thing
out now.
Only for a second.
All good. But I mean, it's amazing for me and for us as a group that we're able to kind of facilitate someone doing what you're doing, right? Saying like, I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna play this game. I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna make content on it. So I don't know. Just personally, I'm really excited about that, and yeah, I really appreciate the energy and the enthusiasm. Bran the Broke. Hopefully, and maybe after you put out a bunch of content, you won't be so broke anymore. You can switch it to
I'll just put it in a Godforge.
Yeah, exactly. We got to ask you the question though, the most important question.
Yeah, Bran, it's been a blast chatting with you, and on the way out, if you've watched the pods, you know what's coming, but we like to get people's gut reaction and kind of put them on the spot here. Like, if you could advise us, like, you got to get this god, myth, or legend in the game because it would be so badass. What's like your favorite that you would really want to see in Godforge?
So I have a two-part thing. So one, I would like to see a crossover of skins for Epic the Musical. If you guys know what that is.
Yeah, I do.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
I've heard a couple other people have asked for this. That
really?
Okay, it's starting to build. They're starting to build some momentum.
We'll get it to happen. But my actual choice of god or myth or legend or whatnot, I believe someone else has said it, but would be anything from H.P. Lovecraft. So Cthulhu, Dagon, Yog-Sothoth. I've been a horror writer and stuff like that as well in my past and love H.P. Lovecraft. So I would love to see those. I would love to see your guys' take on them is the main aspect. Okay. I want to see how you guys would design.
We can't say yes or no to any of this stuff, obviously, but yeah,
of course.
Nice.
I would love that. Although I'm not sure with as far as like the rights to that, it's still, I don't know, they're old. It's not like free, but
no, it's open now.
I think it's open.
Public domain.
Yeah,
it's public domain.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we can. I wasn't sure if it was owned by the Lovecraft estate or something.
It went to a different dude. I can't remember his name.
There's all kinds of wildness coming up. Actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Lord of the Rings is in Canada. I think
I did see that.
Is about to hit, or maybe has hit public domain.
Interesting.
Yeah. But not in the U.S. and not for a while. But we've definitely heard some people say that would be interesting. I know Saf is number one.
Saf's already got the kits ready to go.
I just watched Sneaky's video with Simon, and Simon also mentioned Lord of the Rings, and
we just listen. We're all geeks. We're all into geek culture. So the reality is, all things are on the table. If it's cool, if it fits the lore, if we can make it badass, there's a chance it's going to get in the game. So yeah, the more public outcry there is for something, the better chance, obviously, that we're going to do it. So if you want to get like a mail, get some signatures outside for HP local.
No, Epic. That's the more important one.
Epic's the one. Okay, Epic's the one. All right.
Great. Well, hey, Bran, thanks for taking the time to join us. It's been a blast. And we will put the link to Bran's channel down below. We're going to be covering Godforge extensively and all sorts of good content over there. So, Dirk, Sham, Bran, thank you. Cheers. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode.